Welcome. Today's lesson is about angle vocabulary. The first angle type is supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are two angles that share a common endpoint and a common side. And the sum of their measures is always 180 degrees. That is, that they form a straight line. The next one is a pair of complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles that share a common side, a common ray, and a common endpoint, and the sum of the measures of which are not 180, but rather 90 degrees. So supplementary is 180 degrees. Complementary angles have a measure sum of 90 degrees. We have a right angle here. A right angle is a single angle that's formed by two rays that share a common endpoint whose measure is exactly 90 degrees. That is, that the two rays are perpendicular at their endpoints. Here we have an example of two different types of angles. We have a triangle with a side extended as a ray. Inside, this angle right here is called the interior angle. Why? Because this angle is inside the triangle. This one is called the exterior angle because this is still an angle, but it's, outside the triangle. So this is an interior angle and this is an exterior angle because it is exterior to the triangle. If you have an interior and exterior angle, they will also always be supplementary. This is a pair of vertical angles. Vertical angles are formed at the intersection. That means they have a common endpoint here, a common point where they intersect. And opposite angles, vertical angles, are always going to be congruent. So this single arc here is congruent to this single arc here. Now but that's not the only vertical angle. This angle and this angle are also vertical angles. They're opposite of each other. They are also congruent. So when you have two pairs of intersecting lines, you always have two pairs of congruent vertical angles. These two would be congruent, and these two would be congruent. We also know that these are adjacent angles, and these two adjacent angles form a straight line, which is 180 degrees, or as we learned on the previous board, they are supplementary angles. They share a common endpoint, a common ray, and they're two angles. The last three that we're going to talk about are acute angles. Acute angles are two rays that share a common endpoint whose measure are always less than 90 degrees. Obtuse angles, again, two rays who share a common endpoint whose measure is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180. If you have a straight line, this is also called a straight angle. This is 180 degrees. It is not a supplementary angle because if you have supplementary angles, that means there are two angles. Here there is only one angle. So this is 180 degrees, and its vertical angle, its opposite here, is also 180 degrees. Next, I need you to go, for your check for understanding, I need you to go to Edmondo, locate lesson 1.5, do the check for understanding, and we will continue tomorrow in class.